we said it.
Hi, hello, welcome to another episode of Now We Said It. I am your host, Quisha. How are y'all doing today? Night, whenever you're listening or watching this podcast. I hope you are well. So, let's talk about some Housewives, tea, drama, whatever. The blogs was going crazy the other day. First off, the Beverly Hills cast having COVID. I believe it was Kathy, Kim, and Kyle all have COVID. We must protect Garcella at all costs. Keep her away from these COVID-ridden who's. So that's the one thing. They all have COVID. So they have temporarily shut down filming of Beverly Hills. Speaking of Beverly Hills, Erica and her husband Tom have been sued for allegedly embezzlement. First of all, Miss Bravo TV on Instagram. If y'all are not following Miss Bravo TV, please do, because as soon as the news broke, she immediately made a meme showing Giselle and Robin for Potomac when Giselle was trying to guess the name of Robin's hat business, which was called Embellishment, and Giselle called it embezzlement. And Miss Bravo TV posted that, talking about Tom and Erica. Oh, I can't believe it, y'all. So apparently they're accusing them of hiding money that was supposed to go to the victims of a plane crash. Now, I will say I'm actually somewhat shocked by this news because while I know Erica really didn't have her own money, I thought Tom was super established and I thought he was just footing the bill for her ridiculous music career. I know she became a little bit more successful because of the Housewives, but pre-Housewives, I'm not sure how much money her music career was really bringing in. And I feel like he was spending a lot on that. And I get, well, you know what? Now it's kind of all making sense. Oh, child, let me take a sip off that. So that's that news. Then Bronwyn from OC came out as lesbian. Congratulations to her. The only thing that I feel bad about is I read that she said she was never attracted to men, and I felt bad for her husband because they've been married for 18 years, 20 years, something like that. So it's like, are you saying you were never attracted to your husband? I don't know if she had to say all that. So I do feel bad for her statement necklace wearing husband, but I'm happy for her. She's living her truth. Love and happiness to her. I'm glad she's happy and she's sober. Amazing. Now, I am behind the scenes watching OC. Y'all know I'm just not talking about it. But I'm going to go ahead and talk about it just for a second. Not the show, but going on behind the scenes. Kelly Dodd, a.k.a. Our problematic queen, slight COVID denier. Her mom got COVID. Ain't that about her? That's what it do. That's what it do. I bet you ain't out here denying it now, are you? I bet you wearing your mask now, aren't you? That's that hurt. That's that karma. That karma train. And actually Darby's voice. The karma train is pulling around on these hoes. I'm not saying good on her because her mother seemed like a sweet lady. You know, I hope her mother recovers. Kelly getting a dose of that reality. And what else? I did see that Andy had Kelly on Watch What Happens Live the other day. I did not have time to watch it. So I guess I'll comment on it on the next podcast. I still need to watch it, but I did hear that he questioned her about her drunk wives matter little hat or whatever. I'm interested to see what she said, what he said to her response. I'm not going to say I had high hopes for Kelly, but I did like Kelly. So it's just a little bit disappointing. But then again, these people are on a TV show about wealth and opulence. So you do have to expect them to have a little bit of ego and ignorance. So you kind of have to, look at it like that. I'm going to go ahead and move on. I clearly don't want to talk about this, all right? All right, so let's get into this episode. This is Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 1, Episode 4, and it is called Roaring Emotions. How do I feel about this episode overall? I liked it. It wasn't the juiciest episode, but I think it was a good episode. We pick back up at the Roaring 20s party. A very drunk Jen stumbles her way over to a table where all the ladies are sitting, and she sits right in front of Mary, and Mary is kind of looking at her, but clearly trying not to look at her. Jen asks Meredith to talk amongst themselves. So, they get out and they go into their own little table. You can tell that Jen is very, very drunk. I don't want to talk bad about her, but I'm going to. But I just want to say I understand her actions in this scene because we've all been drunk and messy And then the next day you're like, why did I act like that? But she did. So we're going to talk about it. I feel that you wake up in the morning like, what did I do? What did I say? Let me check the text. Did I act a complete fool or just a little bit of a fool? How drunk was I really? I have a feeling that's how Jen woke up the next morning. But wait, before I talk about their conversation, I do want to quickly talk about Mary's gloves, question mark. What was that? Leather. It was like a hard leather glove, fingerless, Chanel. Looked very ill-fitting. I've noticed this a lot about Mary. She has a lot of designer, but none of it fits her. She's a very tiny woman. I just feel like she should have got them fitted to her wrist and her hands. Now, I understand that her grandmother handed down a bunch of stuff, but that does not mean you have to wear it in the size that your grandmother gave it to you. You can fit it. I'm not sure that her grandmother gave her that, but we're already talking about Salt Lake City, so I'm just going to talk about it now. I've been hearing that Mary, her church is a cult. There might be some embezzlement going on there from what I've been hearing in the streets. Mary might be a one and done, if y'all know what that means. I know y'all know what that means. This might be her first and only season because she wants to hide from the police and the tax man because she might be involved and allegedly be involved in some illegal financial activities. And watching this episode really got me a thinking. I want to talk about it a little bit later on, but I just want to put that in y'all's head as we move forward with this recap, okay? So I'm looking at Mary. She's like got on these ill-fitting gloves. I didn't notice them last episode, but they caught my eye this episode and I could not stop staring at them. Why are you wearing them? Why don't they fit? Where did they come from? What are they? So Jen's talking to Meredith and she asked her why did she cancel the sleepover, and Meredith pretty much said, I really don't want to talk about this right now at Whitney's party. This is not the time nor the place. Meredith in her confessional says that she didn't want to embarrass Jen by basically saying my kids didn't want to look at your vagina. I do want to go back and talk about that episode real quick. Meredith said on Twitter that there was more to the scene and she wished that Bravo would have shown it because me along with everybody else, or me along with a lot of other people, were very confused as to Brooks's harsh reaction, because from the angle that we saw and the way she was doing the high kicks, he wouldn't have been able to see her vagina from where he was sitting. So was there some other scene or was there some other action that took place where he was seeing her vagina? It just seemed very strange that he was so offended by what she did and what we saw what she did. What we saw didn't really warrant his reaction, in my opinion. Since then, Meredith has gone on to say that we didn't get to see the whole picture. So I want to see the footage. Why was he so upset? Did he see her vagina? I need to know. So Meredith wasn't really trying to talk about it at the party because clearly she could see Jen was upset and irate, and she really wasn't trying to make anything worse. So she was like, we'll just talk about this another time. And so Jen kind of moved on from that. Then she got onto the Mary situation. She started talking to her about Mary, and Meredith basically said, I don't like to get involved in other people's drama. Love that. I do. I mean, I like to watch from the sidelines on TV. That's my level of involvement. Well, and talking about it here on this podcast. Jen kind of keeps going at her. Jen was like, I don't understand how you could be my friend and not have my back. And Meredith was like, I thought this was squashed at my birthday party. The last thing I saw was you and Mary hugging and making up. And then, of course, they showed a flashback of them hugging and seemingly making up. But we all know that Jen was not here for that fake ass apology that Mary gave her. But Meredith doesn't know that. The last thing she saw was them hugging and, partying on. So I can understand where Meredith is coming from. She's like, I thought y'all was cool. Jen was like, nah. But Jen is clearly too drunk to explain to Meredith that she's still upset. She was like, you can't see this? How is she supposed to see it? Jen is so drunk in this scene, and she keeps sipping from that cup, that clear liquid she's drinking. I know it ain't water. They just keep showing like clips of her, like shots of her drinking shots, We shoot over to Whitney and Heather, and Whitney is like, should we help? And Heather's like, I don't know. Like, if she makes eye contact with me, I'll go over there. But other than that, I ain't trying to really leave the table. I'm waiting on these chicken drumsticks or whatever. These lollipop drumstick. It was something she was waiting on. I was like, listen, this entire episode, Heather was hashtag relatable queen, okay? Our president, Heather Gay, okay? She's waiting on the food. If that ain't me, she said, I'm not trying to leave because I'm waiting on my food. and they don't seem to be in trouble. Now I was listening to another podcast and somebody mentioned Meredith's wig and her confessional, the bob. I didn't pay too much attention to it before, but now that I listened to the podcast, I think I was listening to Lara and Carrie on Sexy Unique podcast. I think they mentioned her bob wig, and now I can look at it and it's such a wig, and now it's bothering me. She didn't need to wear that wig. It was unnecessary. So Lisa walks over to calm down Jen, and this is when Meredith exits stage left because Jen is yelling in her face, and Meredith goes, okay, I'm going to disengage, and she gets up and walks away. And Lisa is trying to calm down Jen, and Jen is like going on about whatever, and Lisa says, okay, well, we need to stop with the tequila. You need to put the drink down. You've gone too far. So as Meredith is getting up, Jen says very loudly, so you're just gonna leave? You're gonna go sit over there with Mary, the woman who fucks her grandfather? Bitch. Now she said it so loud that everybody heard her, including Mary. They showed all the women in their confessionals giving their reactions, and everybody was like, it was out of line. It was so rude. Why would you say that? And Mary was like, I heard that. Mary said, you can say whatever you want about me. Clearly there's something you find in me that's fascinating because you can't keep my name out your mouth. And that's on period. I'm going to go ahead and say my piece about this situation right now, why Jen keeps going in at Mary. I feel like Jen, when they started filming, Jen might have been able to sense that Mary was going to be the main storyline because her storyline is so interesting. I feel like Jen had to go at Mary to get some attention onto her. That's my opinion. And I just feel like Jen is just trying to get at Mary because the more she goes at Mary, Mary is eventually going to have to respond, therefore equaling more screen time and attention on Jen. Because it really does just make no sense. But then again, at the same time, this really does seem like the type of person that Jen is. She seems a little bit extra and over dramatic, like she blows things out of proportion. So it could be that too. And she really doesn't seem to have a problem with anybody else except Mary. So she could just be harping on this whole Mary hospital thing. But baby, if we are still talking about this, well, clearly we're still going to talk about it in the next episode. But if we are still talking about this 3-4 episodes from now, y'all, I don't know what I'm gonna be able to do. I thought they had a lot more than this, than Jen in this hospital situation. I thought Salt Lake City was going to be giving us more. Clearly these ladies have a lot of secrets and it ain't got nothing to do with a goddamn hospital, all right? So eventually Meredith decides to completely leave the party, and as she's leaving, Jen goes, yeah, you better leave. Like, why are you trying to pop off when she's walking away? She did the same thing with Mary at the party. She went in the bathroom and screamed about Mary instead of screaming to Mary or her complaints to Mary in Mary's face. She's one of those people that's, yeah, walk away, bitch. You better walk away. Yeah. She's one of those people when they start walking away. Yeah, you better walk away and what? I can tell she's one of those people because she's done it twice already. Girl, if you don't sit your scary ass down somewhere. Y'all, I really don't like Jen. I'm sorry. So Jen calls her husband Sharif to come pick her up, and she's already like, where the fuck are you? Like, girl, you just called him. Give him time to get in the car and get there. I don't know. Maybe she was saying that because he didn't answer the first time. I couldn't really tell, but whatever. It was too much regardless. Then Jen gets up to walk outside, and Heather's like, okay, let me go make sure she's okay. Before Heather leaves, hashtag relatable queen, she goes, hey, don't let them clear this burger off this table. And don't touch my drumstick lollipops. Heather said, I'm gonna go check on this bitch, but don't let them take my burger, and don't touch my drumstick lollipops. It's all about the food at the end of the day. So then Jen is trying to leave, and she acts a complete fool. She's like stumbling out of the establishment, and she's like, get off me, don't touch me, screaming. It's so embarrassing. Like, I feel like she really did black out. I know Heather said she tends to avoid Jen when she gets like this because she blacks out and she just says whatever. I think she was actually truly blacked out, like from alcohol, not from anger. It was just too much. So then Sharif comes and picks her up, and she gets in the car and she's bawling, crying. I know that cry. That's that end of the night emotional drunk cry. He's probably like, damn, now I gotta deal with this shit. Now I have to go home and help you take off your makeup and deal with you telling me the story over and over again. that I didn't want to hear the first time. Poor Sharif. So then as they're driving away, she goes, fuck Meredith. Okay, girl. So now it's the next day and the women are all reflecting on the night before. You have Whitney and Mary talking about the night. Mary says she had a good time up until the end of the night, which is of course the Jen situation. Meredith is talking about what happened the night before with Brooks. He's in a puffy coat inside, and she basically says she wants an apology. Then Whitney says she doesn't understand why Jen hates Mary so much, and Mary says it's because she wants to be the big dog. That's what I was referring to when I said that Jen wants to be the Vicky, the Nene, you know what I mean? The Bethany. Well, I don't really even know who would be considered the queen bee in New York because they are all crazy as hell. But you know what I mean. She wants to be the standout character from Salt Lake City, and it ain't gonna happen, sis. It ain't gonna happen. If you ask me, it's between Mary and Heather, okay? But yeah, Mary says she wants to be top dog. Mary has no clue. Mary has no clue how mad Jen is at her, and that's the level of unbothered we should all aspire to be. Like, listen, that energy is on you, sis. You be mad and angry and bothered. I'm gonna be over here chilling with my step granddaddy, wearing this oversized Chanel, and being around my son who clearly hates me. Also, Mary keeps saying that Jen called her a granddaddy MFer. Now, no, a granddaddy motherfucker, because that would mean she's fucking her great-great-grandmother. She's just a granddaddy fucker, not a granddaddy motherfucker. So now we have a scene with Lisa and Meredith. They're meeting up at an art gallery so Meredith can find furniture for her house that she just moved into for the show. I want to talk about that towards the end of the episode when we talk about the next episode recap, because she moved here for the show. I'm telling you. Meredith tells Lisa about her and Seth's separation. Lisa starts crying. It's actually a very sweet scene. You can tell that they are actually real friends. They cried together and Lisa was super shocked. She's super involved in Meredith's family, and it was cute, y'all. Did I cry? No, but you know what? My heart was a little warm. You could tell she didn't want to tell Lisa that news, but she needed to do it before anybody else did. A la Jen spilling the beans in a few minutes here. Then we see Lisa arriving at Mary's mansion. Mary's house is huge. I will say, out of all of the women, I think I said this last episode that I heard that a lot of the houses were rented. I feel like Mary's house is not rented. Her house looks very much lived in. I could just tell by all of the stuff they have around. It just looks like a very lived in home. Again, embezzlement. Ooh, child. Lisa pretty much says she doesn't understand Mary's home decor. Same. She says Mary seems very well put together and pretty much her house is super eclectic. It probably is because Mary just likes designer things and they don't necessarily have to flow or make sense in the house. She just likes having expensive stuff in her house, which is so tacky. I just have a whole different perspective on Mary after hearing about her possible money embezzlement situation and the whole cult church. I'm really watching. I'm really watching Mary. Then Robert Jr. walks in. Listen, I don't want to talk bad about people's kids, but why is he always so, I guess he's a teenager, but he's very mumbly mouthed and sleepy. I guess that's all right, let me, So he walks in and he tells Lisa that he bought his girlfriend a Prada purse. Let me sign up. Then in her confessional, Mary says that he bought her a chinchilla for Valentine's Day and a dog for her birthday. Mary is being very much a hater, and she says that the purse is going to last longer than the relationship. She might be right, but don't put that on your son. Wish him the best and let him find that out on his own. He's clearly spending your money, so who cares? I'm sure the girlfriend is thrilled. Listen, sis, go ahead and pawn it immediately. They might be coming back for that. And then he says he wants to be a fashion designer, and Mary, the way she's looking at him when she talks to him, and I notice this in every scene, whether she's standing far away from him or close up to him, her eyes are, what do you mean? You don't want to do that? Something is wrong with her facial expressions. They are very like, yes, and y'all gotta watch it on YouTube, but I'm just saying, like, her face is odd. But she's looking at him very wide-eyed and scary. Like, girl, back up off me looking at me like that. So yeah, he tells her that he wants to be a fashion designer. And she's like, what do you mean? You don't want to be a brain surgeon? He was like, nah. Lisa is very uncomfortable. She's like, okay. And then she tells Lisa that she's organizing a Met Gala themed luncheon. Now I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because Heather said, I didn't realize this at first, that she didn't give a theme to the Met Gala luncheon. It's just flat out Met Gala luncheon. Later on in the episode, Heather goes, I don't think Mary knows what the Met Gala is. She didn't give us a theme. And also the Met Gala is a location. And the theme changes every year, which it does. I thought Mary was going to give them a theme for the Met Gala luncheon, but she did not. I'm guessing the theme was just luxury, but that's not a typical Met Gala theme. See, I agree with Heather. She don't know what the hell she's talking about, child. So then we have Jen arriving at Heather's house, and she ordered sushi to come to the house. Now, I will say that is the only thing I like about Jen so far. Y'all know how I feel about food, and even more so how I feel about sushi. Now, you coming over to my house with sushi, that gets you points in my book. But Jen, you're still negative, so you're at 0 now. So they start talking about dating, and Heather again kind of hints that she likes black guys, which is cool or whatever, but it's like, okay, then go on and date them, girl. I feel like she really wants to step outside of her comfort zone and date a black man, but at the same time, I feel like she thinks she's going to be judged, which is something she's going to have to get past, because if these are the men that you're attracted to, then expect some judgment. Be with who you love or who you are attracted to. If she wants to date a black man, then she needs to go date one, but don't be trying to just date a black man just because he's black. Okay, how about you like the person, and if he happens to be black, cool. People fetishizing certain races and stuff is very problematic. I don't think that's what Heather is doing, but I'm watching her. She says she started dating a cowboy. She didn't seem too excited about it, so I don't know if we're going to hear too much about that, but I would like to know a lot more about her dating life. I want to see her actually going out on dates and her finding out exactly what it is that she needs in a partner. I feel like she needs to date different types of people from all different backgrounds so she can really find out what she likes, because I don't think she even really knows what she likes. And then they talk about the other night, and Jen basically says that she's been trying her best to keep it all together. You can tell she's really struggling with her husband being so absent. She talks about her father passing. It's the 1-year anniversary, and then they show a scene of her going to visit his grave. It is very sad. I do feel very bad for her. That on top of her extreme loneliness is weighing heavy on her, and I feel like I can't tell if that's why she's behaving the way she is, or if that is how she just is. And then this is just like, I don't want to say it's an excuse, but it could be like an easy out. And she admits that she is very lonely. Like I said in the last Salt Lake City recap, I feel like the reason she has all these hired people around her is so she doesn't have to feel so lonely. Then she admitted that Sharif is so busy being a coach that he wasn't even able to make it to her father's funeral because he had a football game. Listen, if you are my husband, my partner, my whatever, and a close family member dies, you better be at that funeral. I don't care what you have going on. I didn't like that at all. I mean, clearly her father was somebody that meant a lot to her. A football game. She even said, I understand Sharif had to do what he had to do, but I don't think he realizes how much that hurt me that he didn't come to the funeral. Girl, he would have felt my wrath, because we wouldn't have been no more. There would be no us. That is something that is a huge life event, and you're passing that up for a football game. And doesn't he coach college football? I'm not saying college football isn't important, but And then Heather says in her confessional that Jen is putting too much on Meredith, and I definitely agree with that. She is holding Meredith to this extremely high standard. One side of her is saying, I don't expect you to pick sides, but at the same time she's saying, if you're my friend, then you would have my back, which is essentially saying, take my side. So what do you want Meredith to do? You're telling her not to pick sides, but at the same time, you're telling her to have your back and be on your side. She's putting her in a very hard place, and it's not up to Meredith, especially if Mary did nothing wrong to Meredith. At the same time, the only issue that Jen has with Mary is this dumb-ass hospital thing. I'm not about to not talk to somebody because they said you smell like hospital. Jen is not my cup of tea. Then Jen spilled the tea about Heather and Seth being separated, and Heather was completely shocked, and Jen in her confessional pretty much said, she said something like, basically she said, if you're going to betray me, then I'm going to talk to my friends about you. So tit for tat. She felt betrayed, so she decided to go ahead and spill all Meredith's tea, which is not being a good friend, which is the opposite of what she says later on in the episode. If you're my friend, I have your back no matter what. You spilling the tea about Meredith and Seth being separated is not you having Meredith back if you're her friend, like you say. If you're going to be the ride or die friend, then be the ride or die friend and don't be spilling her business when she's not ready to talk about it with all these bitches. Then we have Mary. She's setting up for the luncheon and she's being so damn rude to the staff. She's telling them how to, arrange the things, but in a very mean way. She's like, y'all can't read. These names are upside down and don't fill up the table. Leave some space. It's like very, very rude. I said this before. I don't like when people are rude to wait staff. As a former waitress, I don't like that. I judge you by the way you treat waiters, people that work in retail, anybody that's customer service facing. I judge you based off the way you treat those people because I was one of those people. And that told me everything I need to know about Mary. The way she was talking to those people was so disrespectful. Now, I will say, the dude that owns the place, damn, his name escapes me and I didn't write it down. He and Mary were sipping on some Dom and he takes a sip and he goes, yes. And he's smelling it. Who is this man? He was hilarious throughout the entire portion of this episode. And then Mary goes, yes, this drink wakes you up. Bitch, champagne? So then you have a scene of Heather and Whitney driving over, and then Heather spills the beans to Whitney about Meredith being separated from Seth. And it's like, come on, this is why. This is how stuff spreads. This is it. And then Whitney says she's so shocked too. They all start arriving to the luncheon, and there's a red carpet and everything. And Mary informs them that they are drinking 2003 Dom Perignon. She tells them that same year there was a heat wave and 56 people died, and it made the best grapes ever. And then on top of that, Mary gets all the women Louis Vuitton AirPods. Okay, so this is my thing about, now I'm looking at Mary's spending habits. She hosts this huge event and there's betta fish on the table. There's bottles of Dom being poured. She gave them all Louis Vuitton AirPods. They're eating $8,000 a pound truffle and caviar. I can't even imagine how much this luncheon costs. And Mary is simply the pastor of a quote unquote church. Follow the money. We can't. Where's the paper trail? Is something going on? I'm watching Mary. I'm watching her. So then all the women start opening up about themselves, and Mary says she has trust issues. Whitney pretty much says she's trying to let go of what people think of her, and then she did a little joke. She says, I want to put this out on the table. I am not a swinger. She goes, that's a little inside joke between me and Lisa. Lisa was looking like, okay, girl. And then we get to Lisa, and she pretty much just says, I set too many goals for myself. And then she gets emotional. So pretty much she says, I'm too perfect. Okay. And then Jen starts off, then she talks about her dad, how he came to America to make a better life for his family, pretty much taught her to be perfect, put high standards on friends and people like that. And she says, so that's why I treat my friends the way that I do. I ain't buying it, sis. I don't believe it, and I ain't buying it, y'all. I'm sorry. And she apologizes to Meredith, and then Mary's like, wait a minute, I'm still waiting on my apology. So Mary didn't get her apology, and that is where the episode wraps up. Now, we do get a preview for next week, and we see Jen and Mary actually getting into it. So I'm excited to see if this is the end of the hospital fight and if they can put their issues to the side. I have a feeling Jen is not going to be able to do that. And then we see Whitney and her dad. I can't remember exactly what they're talking about. He was talking about a relapse. I don't think he relapsed, but he was talking about a time he relapsed, I think. I don't know, y'all. It looked like she was driving him to a sober house, or he was driving off somewhere. And then we see a Meredith and Seth scene where Seth asked her, so once ski season is over, are you going to relocate to where I am? And she was like, no, we just got here. And he said, well, the hub is somewhere like in Ohio. I can't remember where he said, somewhere that's not Utah. And she was like, I'm not leaving. And then you see another scene of him saying, so you want me to leave? Like the house. So clearly their separation is not going as smoothly as they would like everybody to think, which is duh. You're getting separated. It's not going to be like peaches and cream. That's how it always goes. People that have public divorces and stuff like that, they always make it seem like, oh, we're going to be the best of friends. This is no big deal. It's absolutely a big deal. You're dissolving your marriage. It means you cannot stand each other. So there's no way that y'all are just going to be like besties. It's very rare for people to get divorced and be immediately best friends. That takes years of healing and, forgiveness. I don't know if that's going to really happen with Meredith and Seth. And I absolutely think she has a little man on the side. But if you're separated, again, I don't know the rules of the separation. Somebody tell me. So that's the end of the episode, and that is the recap. The next episode looks like it's going to be a little boring, honestly, because that preview was so quick. So the only two juicy parts it looked like was the resolution, or probably lack thereof, of the Mary and Jen situation, and then the Meredith and Seth issue. So I don't really see where we're going to get much juice next week. They better really step it up. I just feel like the first episode it was entertaining from start to finish, and it's starting to, I don't want to say even out or level out, because it's really not. I just feel like there should be more going on in Salt Lake City. These people clearly have a lot going on in their lives, and they better open up and let us into the drama. Please let me know what you think about this episode. You can email me at nowwe'vesaidit@gmail.com. All of that information will be in the episode notes and description box down below. Please also leave me positive comments and reviews. I really appreciate it, and it really helps me out a lot. I will see y'all later this week for Potomac, the finale. Can you believe it? Can you believe the Potomac finale is already coming? So y'all already know I'm definitely recapping that. I'm going to try my best to have that up on Monday instead of Tuesday. I'm going to try. Don't hold me to it. If not, it will be up first thing Tuesday morning. And then, of course, we have Atlanta to look forward to, which starts on the 6th. I mean, you guys, it truly is a Christmas miracle. With all that being said, y'all have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. This has been another episode of Now We've Said It. Bye.
But now we said it.